Bring the meeting to order. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. 4:34.
And Mary, you're with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi there.
Great to
Hi.
hear you, Mary. So we have a quorum. Everyone's here. And
Do we not have Jennifer much anymore?
she works during this period. So
But
and she
that's
gets-
going to be the case for, and has been for all of our meetings.
yeah, so we were going to check with her after the summer to see what her hours would be. Because she does have young children too that she has to get. So
Maybe they should come up with a different representative, if that's not, it's just good to have as much input as we can.
right. So with that said, Tamara has a hard stop at 5, so I wanted to get her on.
Yeah.
Get some good updates, because I know Mary has a lot of updates as well, so since
Yeah, thank you. It's
tomorrow's-
actually a little bit sooner than 5 because my daughter doesn't know her work schedule, but the first thing I want to do is to thank Mary Hines, who's been joining me every other week at the farmer's market. She is like honey to a bee. Everyone, I mean, everyone comes to say hi to her. We have a lot of opportunity to talk to people because of her presence. I think we haven't talked to that many people, but everyone is recognizing our logo, which is on our tent, and it's been a really wonderful way to kind of get to know the community. So thank you, Mary.
Oh, great.
I did give Cassandra a list of talk points, and I also emailed them to you, Paul, because I know I had to leave a little bit early. But Sherry Green, our new construction manager, has arrived. She started last month, or actually in June, because it's the first day of August now. She's been to the site. She's doing some, exploring and some, trying to figure out the best way to move forward. She is specific, as Paul mentioned, the water. We are working with the sewer commission. We're working with Ware River Water to replace the water lines to the property. And then we're exploring the ledge on the property. It may just change how we do the foundation in our basement, but the structure of the home will still be the same, but I don't think she realized how much the ledge there was going to be. And we did tell our neighbors that we wouldn't be blasting every day. So we're doing some more exploring on that. But our building permit process has begun. And then our ceremonial groundbreaking will be on Thursday, August 17th at 10. While all committee members will receive an invitation probably tomorrow, we do need to keep it small because the size of the property and our parking situation. We don't want to have a police detail on site, and we don't want to scare our neighbors before we even start. So I would love for 1 or 2 of you to represent the committee at the groundbreaking, and then we'll make sure that there's photo opportunities for the whole committee to come when I finish talking with Justin, who's going to be helping us take pictures, Justin from the communications team in Cohasset. That is really all I have, except to also let you know that our golf tournament is on October 2nd, if anyone's interested in learning more.
okay,
Did
so
you say the groundbreaking, is it on the
It'll be
17th at 10?
The Thursday, August 17th
At
at
10.
10 a.m. And
Okay.
you'll
I
be
have to-
receiving an invitation tomorrow. I'm just waiting to have that approved before I send it out via email.
Okay.
But I'd love to have everyone. I'd love to have all the selectmen. I'd love, my list was very, very large, and I'm still new to the organization. We tend to keep these small. It's a small photo op, but again, I think everyone likes to have their picture with a hard hat and a shovel. So we can make that happen for this group. But it may not be the official groundbreaking ceremony, and I certainly don't want anyone to be offended by that. It's just, we typically do things very informally here at Habitat, and the last groundbreaking I did was, a $200 million hospital wing, so
Wow.
it's just different.
Yeah, so we go there with there's a shovel and a hard hat.
And that's pretty much it.
Right,
So,
okay, yeah. And then is there a ribbon cutting one?
there is a home dedication that everyone's invited to, and we will work that out 12 months from now.
Okay,
But we are doing a ribbon cutting in Hingham. We don't have a date yet because we don't have water to that site yet. That's a whole other different type of town issue, but if you didn't know, 53 is a state highway, so Mass DOT is involved with us getting the water to our almost finished homes, but our families cannot move in until there's water, obviously, so we're
Okay.
waiting on that, but happy to share that date with you guys as well, so you can see what it's going to be like in.
I'm gonna advocate that the four of us go.
I'm all set.
On the 17th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to change an appointment that I have at 10 o'clock on the 17th. I have to try to change that, but I'll make this a priority.
so if all four of us could go, I think that I would take that over additional seats to people who haven't been involved for the last, how long we've been around now, 7 years, 8 years, so this was the first project we really went after, was 808.
Yes, no, I think it's really important if you guys all, I mean, I will certainly make sure that can happen.
Yeah, put the four of us down. If three of us go or two of us go, then just.
No, I'll make it a point to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I just want to make sure you're taking your health as a priority.
Yeah, and then, I don't know who on the
too.
trust would be able to go, two people from the trust, and they have new people on the trust. There's been some people like Steve Gomer who's been there since the beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
So, some of the folks that have been there for the long term would be great. And then who knows with the select board, I don't know who goes to what,
yeah, no, I'm going to be sending it to everyone on the select board, but Justin said he would help me share the fact that,
Okay.
we have to keep it small. The invitation will ask that you park at the corner stop and walk over.
Right.
That's another thing I could announce is during the week, we are going to be allowed to park there while our crew works and our volunteers come, so we are still looking for a place for Saturday parking. The church across the street has their own construction stuff going on right now, so they have declined to commit at this point. So if anyone knows of Victoria's or I can't remember the name of the place directly across, but we are looking for some ideas for parking for
There's
Saturday.
the dentist's office across the street there too, that I don't know if they are open, or at least they used to
on
be there.
Saturdays,
I don't know
yeah.
if they're open on Saturdays or not. And Paul, I was wondering, I know he's not on our board anymore, but Rob was certainly interested in 808 Jerusalem. I just was
Yeah,
wondering whether we should at least let him know about this date. If, I don't know if he feels that it's,
Oh, no, he should be there for the groundbreaking. I mentioned that to him when I saw him at the last public meeting.
And I'm sorry, who's Rob?
Rob Jeffers was the chair before Paul for our committee.
All right,
And so he
not
was
on my-
involved
he's
when
not
it
on my
first got
list.
started. Yeah.
Okay.
When we
Okay.
first got started with you all for 808, he was
Okay, well,
involved.
if you.
Tamar,
could-
he's a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, so if you send
Oh,
it to
he
me,
is?
I'll ensure
Hold
that
on.
he gets it.
Oh, so maybe he can be their representative from the trust. That could work.
Who's that?
Since Rob, Cassandra just said he's on the
Oh,
Affordable
Rob-
Housing
Rob-
Trust.
He's not
have a
he's not
Robert-
on the trust. Rob is not on any board.
Yes, he
Oh,
is.
no,
He
I
was
don't,
just
I don't
appointed.
have him, I don't have him, so. Yeah, you feel free to forward that to him and just. it's
Mary disappeared.
Jeffers,
Mary disappeared, so we'll see.
Rob, Jeff.
ERS.
So you can send it to me and I can send it to the whole trust.
Okay,
Which would
oh,
include him.
yeah, that'd be great too, okay. All right, so that really, unless you guys have any questions for me, that's really all I have to share.
Tamara, I'm sorry I haven't been able to be with you at those Thursday afternoon farmers markets. There was one day that I really was so wanting to go, and my car was parked right there by whatever it is, Blue Ore, or right in front there.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk as far as to get over there. I was
Oh, I'm
just so
sorry.
distressed. I wanted to go. I
Well,
couldn't get that far.
what I just found out, I didn't realize how late the farmer's market goes, all the way through October. So we're committed for quite a bit. Like I said, Mary's been absolutely wonderful, and Janice Richards, who many of you met, at our community meeting, has been out there too. And Lisa Legg has been so wonderful, letting me work from her office so I can help set up, do some other work, and then join the people after the town hall closes. So it's been a really wonderful way to get to know the community and meet so many people in the clerk's office. It's really amazing. But are there any other questions from my end? Otherwise, I'll let you guys get on with your meeting. Oh,
So-
Mary's
So
back.
Mary's back, yep. So hopefully we'll hear from Mary. So there you are, Mary. Oh, she's not on audio yet.
Not yet.
Connecting.
So, have they decided if it's a full basement or not? Do you know?
No, they're exploring how much ledge there is, and they probably won't know until they dig a little bit.
They might have to do a slab.
They're hoping they don't have to do a strict slab. I mean, again, I'm not a construction person, but they think based on what they know now, they can at least do like half a basement, they'll figure it out, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a
What?
person who builds a lot of homes in Cohasset, and he said, tell me how much or what the square footage is. I can figure out how much it would cost to.
Yeah, so Noreen will reach out to you, Paul, if they have any questions, obviously, but again, I don't know, I didn't know Cohasset very well, so I started this project, and apparently the whole town is built on ledge, so
Oh, there's tons of ledge here.
yeah.
So Mary, you're on mute?
My computer finked out on me, so I'm
Oh,
back
yeah.
on my phone.
Okay,
too.
so,
I missed the last 3 or 4 minutes, sorry.
that's okay. So, we talked about, the four of us going to the groundbreaking and then
Yep.
reaching out to Rob Jeffers to see if he can
Oh,
attend.
yep. Okay,
So I just texted him, while we were speaking, and he said he will be there.
oh, great, that's
Great.
terrific.
Yeah.
So like I said, you guys will receive invitations, and Cassandra, thank you for forwarding it to Rob. Unless you want to just send me his email, I'm happy to do it as well.
Okay.
But we'll just ask that you guys park, like I said, at the corner stop. And then we'll make sure we have some great pictures of you guys as the Affordable Housing Steering Committee. Will be great.
Great.
Perfect.
Well, this is exciting.
Yes, as Susan, I know.
Only 7 years since I first.
Yeah,
talked to
I
Maureen.
talk,
7 years.
I talk about the first time we met and you telling me that, so I'm, it's very
Yeah.
exciting for us too.
Well, main thing is it's happening.
Awesome.
All right.
So, do you have
Well,
any
you got-
questions, Mary, any questions for, tomorrow?
I don't think so. I'll see you Thursday.
See you Thursday, sounds great.
Doing the farmers market, everyone's happy, so, groundbreaking, and then I'm sure we'll have questions, for our meeting in September. Once
Yep.
we go through the groundbreaking, so that'll be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yep,
Awesome.
awesome,
So we're
thanks so
not-
much.
Okay, thanks, Tamar. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, tomorrow. So we're not doing another meeting on the 8th of August, are we?
No,
Good.
Okay,
nope. This
because
is
on that, on
the-
what came up on the email, it said next meeting, August 8th.
No, this is it, the one and only for August.
Okay,
Um,
that's what I thought, but
Good.
I didn't know if
Yeah.
for some reason there
Yeah,
was
we were
another-
trying to coordinate things with Habitat, but it wasn't working the way we thought it would, so,
That's fine.
just texting Rob back right now. So he's going to be there.
Great.
So that's good news. I kind of reached out to them to find out what the deal was on having a full basement or not. So there's some people in town I called about, how much does it cost for blasting? Because is it, $20,000? Is it $5,000? I don't know what it costs for blasting. So they wanted me to get some dimensions for them. Maybe they could help us with the cost or something, but I didn't hear back from them. So I said, hey, here's our project manager. We'll get back to you. I said, okay.
Of course, neighbors always love blasting.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't need to ruffle too many feathers.
So, so as far as affordable housing development site general updates, that was on our first item on the agenda. So we pretty much covered 808. So I'm excited that we will all go on the 17th, whoever can make it. And I'm sure it'll be short and sweet, but that'll be great. Get that under our belt, and I can't wait for this to go through. This will be our first real transaction, I think.
Yeah.
Taking property, putting it in the trust, building it into affordable housing. It's gone through all of the elements that we helped set up in town for affordable housing. So it's really going to be exciting for us. I'm really looking forward to that. And then, of course, the ribbon cutting or dedicating the home, and they've already got applications out there looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's moving right along. And so I'm real happy about that. So the next couple of updates that we have is there was 145 South Main, which is humming along as far as construction going. He has one unit that was going to be affordable. He's required to go in front of sewer and water for applications, and I don't know as of today he has done that. Also, I think Cassandra had mentioned in one of her emails that he needs to register the property so that it could be deeded with affordable housing. Cassandra, what's the process? When does that normally occur?
So the SHI count happens after that's the last thing that you do.
Okay.
Occupancy, right?
So it has to go through, all of the building construction, the certificate of occupancies, the process of renting out the units through a certified program, all of that. And then the very last thing is that I submit the paperwork to the state to have them count for the SHI.
Now, when you do that, is the property deeded to be affordable?
Generally, that happens beforehand, because
Okay.
there has to be an agreement that's recorded with the Registry of Deeds, but you have
Okay.
to show that to the state to get them to count.
Okay, so when would he register for the deed? After
Um,
possession, or
I think in theory he could, because, for instance, the 390 CJC, that was done a while ago. So I assume that he could start that process at any point.
okay,
It's just the SHI count is like the last thing that we do.
okay. Because 1 Pleasant Street is that, so he has not finished the permit processing yet, so he's got to go through that for 147. So
Mhm.
physically it looks like it's almost done, but I know that he has some challenges with utilities. So he's got to go through water and sewer. So then the next one would be 1 Pleasant Street. So they look like they're pretty far along as well. Do you know if they have filed for deed restriction at all?
I don't know if they've done that yet.
Okay,
At least I haven't received word that they have. So I assume at this point they have not.
okay.
And how many and that's apartments, so they're all gonna count.
Yeah, it's 14 that get counted.
14.
And
Okay.
what's the number of units that are actual out of the 14? Is it 3 for him or 2?
I'd have to double check. I think it is 3.
Yeah.
Let me
I
just
thought it
pull
was-
that up.
And then same thing with 147 South Main. It's one unit that's actual, but all three will count.
Wait, 145 South Main,
Or 145.
147.
147. Okay,
Is it one-
It's 4 units for One Pleasant Street. And yes, it is 147 South Main, not 145.
So it's
And there's-
147 South Main. One unit counts, 3 units we get credit for. And on One Pleasant Street, it's 4 units. Is it-
It's 4 units for One Pleasant Street. I had a note from Lauren previously that all 3 units would be affordable units, but that may have been an error. And it could be that there's 3 units total and only one of them is affordable.
Yeah,
So I
that's
can
on-
look
that's
into
on
that.
147. That's on 147, right?
Mhm.
Because that was a voluntary thing. But on One Pleasant Street is 4 units and 14 count.
Correct, because they're all rentals.
so how many units total are there at 147 South Main?
There's 3 units.
3 or 4? Okay, 3.
Three.
Okay. And so they'll all count then.
Right, so there'll be, 17 units coming on board, I would think. I would hope by the end of the year.
Mhm.
As far as commercially available, I don't know, as far as deed restrictions and I think with the state. So we'll have to find out where they are in that process. There hasn't been any movement on. Is it, I forget the address on South Main where the gas station is next to the Red Lion Inn.
55 South Main.
55, right. So we haven't seen anything there. I don't know that they've been back to the planning board or not, or in front of any commissions, but the building inspector hasn't seen any movement that I know of.
And they're still planning on condos, not apartments, right? Because I know they were going back and forth, but,
No,
they-
it's apartments.
oh, it is apartments.
There's apartments. They have the
someone-
right, they've opted to put the 2 units offsite.
Someone said to me that they heard they had some trouble with, getting the clear title on the project or something like that, like there was something hinky behind the scenes going on.
Yeah, there's probably some challenges there, with the property being that it was a gas station for a long time and it's right on the culvert.
Yeah.
Outside
wanna-
of the general issues, of building something.
I want to raise a concept that I think we might want to consider.
Well, let me
Um,
get through the updates for the
Well,
difference.
it would impact 5 South Main, but it's probably
okay.
too late. It's probably too late to, for us to do anything about it. But I guess the premise being that if they choose to do apartments and which, because they were going back and forth between apartments and condos. If they choose to do apartments and then we could, in our bylaws or whatever you want to call it, require that if it's apartments, they have to do the affordable units on site, which would then allow us to count all of the units. Whereas what they're doing, they're choosing to do apartments, but because they're going to do the affordable units off-site, we don't get to count all of them.
Correct.
If it were condos, we would only be able to count the ones that were affordable, whether they're on-site or off-site. It wouldn't impact. But with apartments, if we changed our bylaw in such a way that we required for an apartment that they do the units on site, the affordable units on site, we could count all of them. And I think that's something that we should, consider discussing.
Okay, so we
It-
did all that with the planning board. I can give you an update on that. When we get to it.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to go down the list of the other
Okay.
items.
That's
Yeah.
fine. It's just, it would impact 5 South Main
Yeah, so we did,
for our count.
so nothing will impact 5 South Main at this point. So it is already decided that's what they're doing. So.
Right.
They have up to 12 months to find off-site, and if they don't, they have to put them on site. So that's how that is. So I don't know, outside of that, CJC is moving right along, you know, renting his facilities. And that property has gone through pretty much everything to where they capped off the septic tanks, I believe, and everything's gonna be completed up there by September is the guesstimate right now. But his units are already counting for us. And then,
Not quite counting yet. The paperwork has been submitted to the state, but we haven't received approval for them yet.
okay. So we'll find out what we need left to do, Cassandra, on that side of it.
We just have to wait.
Oh, it's just a waiting to, okay.
I've already submitted the paperwork, so we just have to wait to hear back from the state.
Okay, so there's no other projects that I'm aware of. I know that I don't have a Facebook account, but apparently somebody threw something out there on Facebook, and I got a couple of emails that said, hey, is your committee doing this? Is your committee approving this? And I couldn't open it. But then when I saw Beth's email saying a description about it, I just assumed somebody wanted to put apartments up.
Yeah.
So. I
Yeah,
just-
on North Main Street, are you talking about?
North Main, right? So
It's
we,
120 units.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Did they even ever go before planning or anything? Is this even a
And there's
legit?
No, so it hasn't come before any board, whether it be zoning, planning,
They're just
conservation
floating it?
commission. It's just a conceptual design right now that is not supported by zoning in that area. So there's nothing really happening with it.
So,
at the moment.
is all that property back there right now? Isn't that where the tree guy is back there and
Where what is?
the tree guy for Cohasset?
From what I've heard, there's
There's
some
talk-
sort of construction site of some variety. It could be trees. I'm not exactly sure.
Well,
Is the property abut Wheelwright Park,
well, it
the back of it?
Cedar Acres. If you look on the map, the 2 cul-de-sacs in Cedar Acres, it's right behind them. And it's at the end of Powers Lane. So I was talking to Chris Powers and she was saying she thought it might have been owned at one time by somebody named Barnes. And like 6 acres. And she said it's probably full of junk, but there's 6 acres and then there's 2 house lots, one that he already owns and one that it sounds like he might have a option on, because he quoted 354 and 356 North Main as his access point to the back lot.
So there's no sewer up there. So everything would have to perk for,
Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles to go through and there's no street frontage really, is there?
Well, I think
it's a
that
common
probably has
driveway.
the 2
Yeah.
house lots, it'd be a common driveway, but to Cassandra's point, it's zoned residential, so he'd have to get planning board, I just can't imagine the town letting the planning board approve a 120 unit project.
Yeah, so. Yeah, there was one talk of, so I think it's Linden that dead ends that was gonna go, we have the property on Linden, right, Mary?
Linden,
Heather?
Heather.
Heather, I'm sorry, Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Heather. So that Heather, that dead end there, but it could go back to that property.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look like the property went all the way up there, but I can look in. If you
Right.
look on, like the,
So there
all-
was
all
talk
the
of,
maps,
there
Yeah,
was talk of when they had done, why they stopped at one point, or they were gonna continue that on. In fact, if you go a little farther up Forest Ave, there's a dirt road, there's technically a street on the map of Cohasset that goes back, but it's a dirt trail. So it's kind of interesting how these things are. And some of that came to light during the heated debate over driveways being lanes or roads
Mm.
a couple of years ago. So all of a sudden, you know, all these things started to pop out of the woodwork, but so I just let the folks know that emailed me that there's nothing going on and it never went in front of planning. It was just somebody floating an idea, I guess.
But the planning board is going to have to deal with, in some way, the MBTA's requirements about housing within a mile radius of the train stations. And I know there's discussion about sharing that somehow responsibility with Situate. But, you know, and we've got the issue where we've got a lot of wetlands and we've got conservation land that's already close to within a mile of the MBTA. But, you know,
So
we don't have to have it built, but we have to address zoning that would allow something like that. And that's
okay, so
what has to be done.
we can bring that up at the next subject matter. I just want to go through the affordable housing development sites that we have on the agenda. So I think that's all of them. I can't think of anything else. Has anyone else? Do we know if all the apartments were full on Cushing? Is everyone happy over there?
They're just about, she's getting
Okay.
close now. Yeah, we're slow there for a while, but I think she's down to just a few left.
Okay, terrific. And then, so those are the only things that we have on the agenda for affordable housing development plans at the moment. And then if anything new comes up, we'll put it on the agenda for September. So moving on to subcommittee updates. Since Susan has been speaking about it, I'll bring it up. I went to a planning board meeting because we had an open seat on our board for somebody from planning. And planning is kind of exhausted being on everybody else's boards. So I thought the best thing to do would be for one of us to go to their meetings when it's important. Because them coming to us are just going to hear about all the stuff that's going on that really has nothing to do with planning. It's more important for us to know what planning's doing.
Mm.
You know, who's sitting in front of you? And we don't hear about it until after it's approved.
Right.
So they agreed that that's what we would do. So I agreed to attend any meetings that are pertinent to people coming in with plans to say, hey, we'd like to do something, you know, something like what was on Facebook. And that Cassandra would let us know when there's meetings that are pertinent to our desires, our inputs. Part of that isn't just when people apply for putting up a building somewhere that could have affordable housing. It's also to go over what what Susan was talking about, which we discussed at length, is changing the bylaws, the town bylaws on the planning side on the affordable housing side. So
I hadn't heard anything about that though, Paul.
so he did.
Was that discussed at a planning board meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Right, so an email had gone out to, I believe, most of the board, from the planning board. They sent out an email to a boatload of people saying, hey, here's a form, fill it out. It had to do with the MBTA requirements and what we wanted to do as far as affordable housing. They also discussed
Was that in May? Do you recall?
it could have been, yeah, it was a little ways
That's
back,
why
but-
the whole month of May was just lost to us. So I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I missed that because I would really like to have attended that meeting.
Yeah, so they sent out a form for us to fill out. I sent it back and I stated that we would recommend changing the bylaws to where if there's any more affordable housing, that it be put on site rather than
Good.
somewhere around town, because it's not working out for us.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we-
especially for the apartments. I mean, we could clarify that. I think that for condos, it's a totally different matter. They're a totally different price point depending on the location. I can't see, for instance, the condos that are at the harbor, them having affordable units in that site. That just, to me, doesn't really make sense unless
So-
they've got them located across the street at the back of the building or something. I mean, those are very expensive, property and units. And you don't get any difference in the count with a condo, but with the apartments, it really matters a great deal.
Yeah, so we talked about all of that. So they appreciated our input and they somewhat agreed with the input and what kind of effect it had on us. And being able to visit that when they meet again. Cassandra's gonna let us know when that's on their agenda to start to review. They mentioned something about after the September timeframe. They have a plan of changing a lot of bylaws over time. And so they have I believe a couple of them they're going to be doing at the fall town meeting and then at the spring town meeting and the fall town meeting. So there was talk about the south end of town on 3A where there was some inquiry about converting some shopping plazas to have affordable housing on them, somewhat like first floor retail, second floor apartments type of business plan.
Do you know which locations those were, or did they even say?
They did tell me about them. I don't know that I'd rather point them out at this time because I don't know how accurate that is. But
aren't there meetings, public meetings for open, just,
yeah, but I don't want to say that's what I can't accurately state that's what they are. I'm not gonna, I don't want to state.
At
what-
at this point, it doesn't matter until we find more from what
no,
they're
I just
doing.
didn't know what they
Yeah,
were
just-
looking into.
Yeah, there's several plazas on that end of town. So, I mean, that
Mhm.
end of town is nothing but plazas, right? So,
It'd be
Uh,
great to have a facelift down there.
right, so there are people that are looking around. I know that one particular place was rumored to be up for sale. So I don't know if that's true or not, so I'd rather not say as a chairman of a committee.
Yeah.
But but anyway, we told them we would like to be at the meetings to help discuss what kind of impact it would have for us. And how we can help change the bylaws to kind of address the issues that we have. So they're open to that. Cassandra's gonna let us know when that is. And so.
Well, Paul, this is Mary. I can serve as backup if sometime you can't make it or you need, an extra set of ears there, if you to go to planning board occasionally. So, if you get stuck and can't do it, then I can go.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
happy
you
to go
said-
too.
And
Yeah,
I am as
so-
well, if I can get my body working right.
Yeah, so they've done a lot of Zoom. They're still doing Zoom,
Okay.
so it's fine. So we can attend during Zoom. Any one of us
Okay.
can go. I didn't want to assign the seat to a person.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
makes
have a
sense.
Board member, so I don't know if the town.
Yeah, so whoever goes, I guess, just reports back what was relevant to us.
Yeah, so, the selectmen back in the day used to call them liaisons. So,
Right.
a liaison is kind of a board seat where you're there to gather insight and give opinion that may affect the committee you're on, so that's what the liaison position is
Yeah.
supposed to be for, so. So I did volunteer
Good.
any one of us to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anybody wants to, we can do that. Cassandra, do you know if they're moving forward after Labor Day with anything or this month?
This month, the planning board doesn't have any of those discussions on
Okay.
their agenda. They only have one meeting this month.
Okay, good. Yeah, most people take August off. We decided to have ours for the purpose of this whole groundbreaking and what
Yeah.
Habitat is doing, yeah. And once we get going, then we can figure out what we want to do from there. So that's the planning board side of it. So now, Mary, we'll get some updates from you on what we're doing on the other subcommittees as far as the habitat goes.
Well, similar to Susan, although a different illness. I was really sick for a couple of months, but I'm back on the move and doing much better and so forth. But we did do basically the only thing pretty much I've done is farmer's market. As she said, we've been there every other week. We have, maybe 4 or 5 handful of people stop by. We still kind of walk by and hesitate and say, do you know what we're doing? We try to explain it. And people have taken business cards to volunteer to work. People have, looked at some of the schematics and so forth and to find out what's going on. And there's been a very positive acceptance and understanding, and people seem enthusiastic. So I think, the ground, and we've been promising the groundbreaking. So this will be, it's a great advantage to have that to talk about. So, it's great to, see some of this come to fruition, and exciting that it's gonna start taking place. It's great.
So, we all caught off guard this last minute invite to the Lightkeepers Inn for Rotary.
Yeah.
Did anyone go to Rotary? Do we know what happened at Rotary?
I didn't know about it.
I
What was
went to-
that? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think I went, and I can't even remember.
Would you- I think they told
yeah,
us that morning
yeah.
or something,
Yeah, and I talked to Tamar a couple of months before about going to Rotary, contacted the guy 2 or 3 times, and then, and he said, oh, well, I'll get back to you after the road race, and I got back to him after that, and I didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're supposed to go. So, I now that I remember, I did go that night. It was just an overview of the project. 2 of the people came, Tamara and her boss. It was a very general outreach. Nobody really seemed to commit to do in kind or anything, but they were certainly given the background and contact people to contact if anybody's interested. But it was, I don't think it was intentional, but Tamar didn't even introduce me. So nobody knew that we were there from the committee, and it was just Habitat. So, it was fine. It was a somewhat of a non-event, but as I said, there was some awareness of what we're doing. And, I think Tamar was going to follow up with individuals who would come to the committee. So come to the
Okay.
meeting. So that was when I was on some pretty heavy medication, and I'm not really, wasn't really sharp. So sorry.
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah, because I remember it was kind of a last minute thing from them. I did say to her, because I had called her about coming to this meeting, and I said, it's kind of embarrassing where the public knows what's going on before we do.
Yeah.
So if you could let us know, because all of a sudden I got these cards in the mail saying, hey, we're
Yeah.
building a house, come join us. And
Yeah.
oh yes, I forgot we mailed that out. Like, oh,
Yeah, well, I haven't, she hasn't been there much at the farmer's market. I think it's Beth has been there.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want to ask a lot of questions that would get Tamara in trouble for stuff that maybe should be doing. But I will make a point on Thursday to, sit down with her and kind of go over, okay, what's the next step here? Where, are there people that you're talking to that we don't know about? But I agree, I was startled when the postcard arrived. So, and I know she's got a job to do, and I don't think they're used to this kind of participation from a town committee. So I think she's just going ahead the way they usually do. But we're all interested in, as you said, making sure that we know what's going on and we're not caught blindsided. So I will definitely plan to have
Yeah,
a chat with her.
Yeah, I had no idea they were going in front of planning or sewer.
Nope.
I would have attended to,
Yeah.
support them, but
Do you know if she's kept anyone from CPC in the loop at all? Because a lot of dollars came from CPC to make this project happen. It
Yeah.
went from CPC, I know, to the trust, but still CPC was involved.
Yeah, I don't know who they're speaking to, so.
I mean, those would
Yeah,
be
okay.
kind of courtesies to the people, the organizations or groups or whatever that have helped fund it.
Let me take some notes and, I'll check on this stuff with her. And again, I apologize. I'm just getting back from a rough
Don't-
time, so.
No
Thanks.
apologies necessary.
Well, it's great you were able to go. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did mention, somebody called me from the trust. I had been out, I was out in Wisconsin, so I had barely heard the voicemail, but she said something to me about needing a letter of support for her to put in their file
Uh,
for the part of the stuff that they have to do in building a home, I guess. So I don't know what that's all about, or they have some sort of standard letter they want us to write on behalf of building the home or something. So I haven't heard back from her on it, so. But she called it some sort of letter of support for the project,
Who put that out? Who asked you for that?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
okay.
Because I said,
From
hey,
from the committee or the trust or what?
she didn't
Mhm.
mention, she didn't mention,
Okay.
she didn't mention it tonight, so. I said, oh, I got a call from the trust. Did you talk to the trust? He goes, oh, yeah. I think we're looking for a couple of letters from you guys. I'm like, oh,
Okay. I put it on my list.
yeah. So, so that's kind of where we are. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think Mary's doing a wonderful job. Certainly everyone who's getting out there and promoting it. Like I said, I've been getting a couple emails here and there from people who get a little animated when they see something. And I can tell you that because I'm a sewer commissioner, we've had people come in front of us, for instance, for this discount in affordable housing. So I'm happy that at least the sewer commission has been offering a discount to
Yes, that's
people
great.
for affordable housing. Now it's I'd like to see if the water department would do the same.
Well, good
Just
luck with that.
Especially now it's because it's out of Hingham, right?
no, well, Cohasset Water, 808 is Hingham, right? But Cohasset Water.
Well,
know,
when they jump the fee to 150 to get your final water reading.
Yeah.
it's a little ambitious of it.
You
So
know,
don't look for discounts is my message.
I know. So it's funny because every time someone comes in front of sewer for an abatement, the first comment is, what did the water department give you?
That's true.
Happening.
And it's always, I haven't heard from them yet,
Well,
so.
if they're not doing anything, we're not going to do anything.
Well,
You
they
know,
were, they were very good to us, I have to say, so.
I do think,
Oh, good, when you had your
Yeah.
what was it, leaking toilet, that was terrible.
Toilet running for 2 months while we were away.
I do think that, as a committee, we in order to help encourage and kind of ease the pain for some folks, I think we should sit down with the town manager and come with some sort of plan about, discounting. I know that sewer and water are separate entities from the town as far as controlling what they do and how they fund things, but certainly, the town has the ability to do things as well, so.
Yeah.
It may be worth, coming up with a plan that says, as a town, we're vested in affordable housing. We want to increase our housing. And so put in a policy that offers some sort of discount, if you will, to those coming in to do affordable
Yeah.
housing. It also helps. I know it helps a lot when you're dealing with mass housing, that the town is committed and that you have evidence of the town being committed to it. You can go towards these policies to demonstrate that. So that works out really well as well. So, yeah, right now it's, sewer's been out there, they've done it 3 times. And, I'd like to see something consistent. So everyone knows what it is coming in.
Yep.
And, people know the community's open to it because these policies are in place.
And it can be uniform policy.
Yeah, a
across.
uniform policy would be fantastic. So, we can probably put that towards a goal for our next, years or year and a half or half year, however we're gonna do the goals. One of our goals this year was to define this. What is a fair contribution in lieu of.
Yep.
So I talked about that.
Well, there are a lot of other towns, Paul, that do that. So, I mean, we certainly don't have to invent the wheel on that.
So we already have it. Clark says there's a formula already there in the bylaws that will calculate a number, so. I remember it being vague and everyone's still wondering what the number was, so I'd like to find out from them what that is. So those are that was the one thing that we wanted to accomplish this year, and hopefully with planning, we can kind of find that out.
So you're talking
want
about
me
a
to-
number in lieu of a unit on site? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's, in lieu of putting units on site, you can pay money into the
Right,
trust,
that's what I was asking. So that's what you're referring to.
right?
I
So
can resend that. I did a whole memo. I can resend that if.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, we
your
looked
mind
into that,
flies.
remember, Mary, back
Yeah,
more than a year ago.
yeah,
And I had talked to some people too who had been on other, affordable housing, involved with affordable housing in the past.
Yeah.
And there are other communities that have done, have done that and have a formula. So we, I'm sure if Clark has something to give us, that's fine. But I mean, we certainly can get that,
no, so Susan, it's already in the bylaws.
the figure.
Yeah, if he's telling me the formula's there. Cassandra, is there, are you familiar with that? part of it? When I was on with the planning board, I think last month we talked about that and Clark said that there was a formula and I wasn't familiar with the formula because I remember the formula was always vague and we never knew what the amount was.
Yeah, I'm not exactly familiar with it either. I could
Okay.
certainly look into it.
Yeah, if you could, and then Mary, you want to send your notes out to Cassandra, she can send it
Yeah.
out to everybody. And then we
Good.
can kind of, because we can kind of kick that off with the planning board when we meet with them again sometime in the fall to say, okay, one of our goals by June 30th of next
Yeah.
year was to figure out this in lieu of thing. And it's kind of important because, if there's going to be movement on the MBTA side or movement on the south end of town with more apartments, we want to make sure that we're all in agreement with in lieu of or not.
Yeah.
in lieu of,
We've
and
got it in place before.
on site or not on site and that type of stuff. So that would be great to kind of bundle together.
great.
What does everybody else, on our committee feel about the on-site versus not on-site in terms of any differential between apartments or condos?
Well, I do believe that the apartment should be on site.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah, I
feel
don't-
that. I don't know, Mary or Beth, what your thoughts are about that, but
Oh,
I
I
mean,
agree.
logically, we can count all of it and, it just makes sense for them to do that. So, I mean, I feel it's really unfortunate. It's kind of like a missed opportunity for this 147 South Main for them not to do
I
it.
think the market forces are gonna take care of them and they're gonna have to include it on site. There's not that many opportunities for them, the harbor guys got lucky, plus they have deep pockets. These people seem to be operating more on a shoestring.
Yeah,
There aren't many opportunities for them to pick up 2 units and make them affordable. So I think when they crunch numbers, they're gonna come back and have to just make them be on site. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think they're kicking the can down the road, but and probably partly because it doesn't sound like they have all their, everything ready to go anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a way to
Yeah.
kind of, for them to say, okay, we're moving forward. We're gonna put that over here right now, and we're gonna see if we can get
Yeah.
this project on target. I think they actually are missing the boat and should do condos. But I said that to her because if they could do condos that come in under those harbor condos, like say 8 to 1 million, they would probably sell a bunch of them.
But
Yeah.
then, asking the follow-up to that is if they're doing condos and if they come in the 8 to 900s and they have to do on-site for the affordables and they have to be comparable in size, how does that work?
I don't know. I mean, again, that's their problem, and that might be one of the reasons why they're not doing it, but.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
if
I
you've got
think
properties
yeah.
that are,
Look at all these apartment projects we have going now. You know, it took a while for the CJC ones to get rented. Not the affordable ones, they went right away, but the other ones. Then we've got Pleasant Street. And this is another whole big, you know, fairly good sized building of apartments. I mean, I don't know who they think's gonna be renting all these.
Yeah.
well, I
Yeah.
think there's a market for condos as a condo owner. I can now speak
Well,
to,
that's
you
what
know,
I'm saying. There's no, we need more condos because that would free up houses. People would move into a condo, you know? I
Yeah.
have something that's, you know, those James Lane condos. At first I was a little skeptical, but they've become hot properties because it's a good option for people who want to get
Yeah.
out of the house and they can be downtown.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah.
totally agree. I just, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I just look at the concept of $1 million plus or such that range condo. And if it's comparable size, like a 1,600 to 2,000 square foot condo, if they have to be comparable in size,
Yep.
how do you put that into affordable? People who fall into that category can't afford it just doesn't seem to me to lend itself to it.
I
I mean, you
think
can't,
that-
you
I
can't
think-
sell a unit that's worth 900 to $1 million, 900,000 to $1 million and expect to sell it for 400,000.
No, I probably what they would do too is they wouldn't do the same kind of finish work in it for one
Yeah.
thing. You know, it would be a much more basic unit.
Yeah. But I mean, I think they're required to do the same size. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the things.
Size wise, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just think that raises questions. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, there's economically, I think they're trying to crunch their numbers and it sounds to me like they're pretty having a hard time getting them to make sense.
Is it written anywhere why they have the right to decide what they want to do as far as offsite? That's what's confused me a bit was, you know, it seems like they've chosen to do this and
Well, I
nobody
think
is.
it's because that option is currently out there, which is what Paul's saying. We need to
Yeah.
tighten it up.
It's a bylaw option.
Yeah,
It is, okay,
like three options, on-site,
Okay.
off-site, or in lieu of. They are in writing right now. If
okay,
want to force people, and that's what they played that card, and
Yep.
but planning board did rein them in slightly by saying we'll give you a year, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not, it's
thank you.
but as you say, that may not be feasible for them anyway.
Yeah. I don't know when the year starts.
Is that.
When they dig the hole, when
360
they get
days
a
ago.
permit, when they get their first permit, when they, you know, because they've been approved by the planning board, but they can take 2 years to build if they needed to, you know, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I kind of was taking it as from when the planning board told them, okay, you got our approval, we'll give you a year. I would think that would start the clock, but you might be right. They might argue it another way.
Yeah. Maybe Sandra can find out at some point.
Is the clock already ticking or not?
Yeah.
All right.
So, any other, that was kind of in our member comments, update /
All right, who's doing minutes, and did you guys do minutes last month? I wasn't at the meeting. Did anyone do minutes?
so I do have minutes from last month and from
Oh,
today.
good.
So I have them both. So I'll put those together and type them up.
Okay, are you gonna do this month or do you want me to do it?
I've done them here now, so.
Okay,
I can just
all
type
right,
them.
I'll do them for you next month.
Okay,
But you know, Rob Jeffers at the Habitat thing said that the town has hired his wife to do minutes for lots of boards that
Oh,
aren't caught up on minutes. So I was like, no, that's interesting to know.
ooh,
yeah. Because we
Um,
probably have a few months that are missing.
She's going back and I think watching the meeting.
I asked about that. I think I asked Chris Senior about that. And he said, she's doing them for the trust because the trust has money to pay for it. They have a budget for it. So I don't know.
I
what
knew
other-
she was getting paid, but I was like, oh, well, the town must be paying her. Oh, the trust
Yeah.
is. So is that a use of the trust funds that?
I don't know.
That
As I said,
doesn't,
my
that
eyes lit
doesn't
up
make
and I
sense
said
to
that.
me.
That doesn't
Why
sound like-
should
that
they be
sounds-
able to pay for it if, we can't, and that, that
That's
doesn't
different.
seem like the way that CPC monies are being expected that got put into the trust to be used for paying for somebody to do minutes.
Right.
They
I think
have other money, but
CPC would
they have
start
other
to-
money, they have other money besides CPC money.
Okay,
They got direct town money.
yeah, and I guess Chris is approving
That
that.
still
so.
wasn't given to them to spend on somebody taking their minutes.
Well, you're allowed a certain percentage of it for administrative costs for sure.
Um,
Because they have an attorney they have to pay for all the time.
Okay,
Yeah, because the trust is kind of operating as the trustees are operating as like a business, so they have
okay,
administrative costs, legal fees, that filings and all that stuff, so.
okay. I hear you.
I think I asked for 5 or 10,000 to be put in it. I think they ended up putting 25 in it or something.
Okay.
Into the trust?
Yeah, and they have an attorney that attends the meetings.
No, what do you mean you asked for that to be put in? Who did
So
you
when
ask?
when
When
we
they were
started,
setting up.
yeah, when we started, I was trying to get a grant from the state mass housing.
Oh,
One of the
okay,
Requirements is to have a trust set up. So we had a trust, apparently, that back in the 80s that no one remembered except for Glenn Pratt, and
Yeah.
so we had to quickly get a trust set up, and the only way to prove a trust is set up is to put money in it.
is to fund it, right,
No,
yeah, I
okay.
remember
Yeah,
that,
it's not a trust without a checkbook.
right,
You can't get a checkbook without a deposit, so.
right,
Yeah,
okay,
so I asked them to put 5,000 in there just to get
to
a
get it
trust set
started,
up. Yeah, just get it started. And so we kind of hurried to get that done. And then the problem they had was they still had the other trust, so it was kind of all combobbled. But anyway, it all got ironed out. And there was one trustee still alive from the original trust that had to
From the
sign off.
80s?
Was it
Okay.
out? So it was kind of a unique story.
I have to jump off here in a minute,
Okay.
but we want
Okay.
to pick a September meeting?
Yeah,
Or do we have
because-
one?
So your September meeting is on the schedule for September 12th.
Okay, September.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or what date?
The
September
12th.
Can-
12th.
Oh, sorry.
Can we consider it being a different Tuesday than that? Every time we have a meeting, the second Tuesday, Michael has a meeting right back to back. And I have to use his computer because mine has like your service that you have computer coverage, Mary.
Yep,
Mine
yep.
cuts out and I'm in the middle of a meeting and then suddenly there's nothing. I can't hear
Yeah.
anybody. They can't hear me. And his meeting is like the same as mine practically. It starts just as mine is.
Does it depend,
wrapping up.
Sandra, do we have a certain slot or something? With
No,
the,
if you'd prefer the, say, the
Wanna do
third
it
Like the
Tuesday, I
third
could revise
Tuesday
the
maybe or
schedule.
something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out for
I'm,
my sake, but I don't
I'm
know
fine.
if that's a
I'm fine
problem for
either way.
anybody else. The first Tuesday, the third Tuesday, the fourth,
not the first, I think either.
okay, the third, you like
Third.
the third?
Third's
Third
fine.
Tuesday,
Okay,
Okay, so that would be the 19th,
okay,
19th.
yeah.
September 19th.
Okay,
All right,
I
well,
could put
that'll
you
be
in for
good.
that.
That'll be 2 days. Oh, no, I'm mixed up. Never mind. So the 19th.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, that sounds good.
So we'll
Sounds
try
good.
the third Tuesday each month and see how it goes.
Okay,
okay.
Good,
You guys are okay with that. I appreciate it.
great.
So
Alright.
do we have anything else? Cassandra, do you have anything for us?
No, I had given you all my updates.
Okay. Is there a plan to have to make you the full-time permanent planning board? Or,
Person,
The town planner?
yeah,
Yes, I was the town planner in May.
so are you officially the town planner?
oh,
Yep.
good, congrats.
you didn't say you're official. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know.
Yeah, that
Lauren
happened,
left-
that happened back in May.
Oh, it
Wow.
did, really? Okay, because I know you
We
were.
had
the-
asked you maybe right before that, and you were like, oh, well, they're putting out feelers, and then, yeah, then we didn't ask you again.
Did they go out for?
Congratulations. All right, so,
They went out for a
Right.
worldwide search?
Worldwide search.
Yeah, I mean, every time a position's open, they still go out and get resumes.
have to do it,
So,
right?
Oh, yeah, it's required.
Yeah,
Well, that's good, exciting, congratulations.
Yeah, so you must
Thank
be
you.
happy
well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So now you have to answer all the phone calls.
and all the questions. Good or bad,
That's
right?
awesome. Okay, so you're the official town planner. That's awesome. Congratulations, yeah.
All
I
right.
I didn't know the switch was made. I was like, I wonder what they're gonna do, you know?
Yeah,
Because I know when Coral left, our director of elder affairs, we're like, oh, Nancy's the assistant director. We want to make her the director. They're like, hey, not so fast. We have to go
Yeah.
out and get resumes. We have to interview people. I'm like, no, really?
Yeah.
So it was a process that we had to go through. So I'm happy to hear that for you.
yeah. that's
Awesome.
good.
Thank you.
Good. Great.
Okay, so anybody have anything else?
No.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll
Second.
Enjoy your vacation, Paul. Enjoy
you.
Yeah, have
getting
fun.
away.
I'll be clean.
We'll see you
shaven.
when you're minus.
Yes, I'll be clean shaven for the 17th.
I hope you have great weather.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
Yeah,
No worries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you
take
so
care,
much. Take care.
everybody.
take care, enjoy.